and I want to be a winner. I want to be known as a winner. I want to succeed and do the best I can, and I tried, and I'm still trying to this day, but I find it hard to try and curtail, as I say, the passion sometimes.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the PSA podcast. Today we are delighted to have Carrick Rangers manager Stuart King.
Thank you.
On the show. Stuart, you're very welcome.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Stuart, we're just going to start the podcast off the same way we always do. Just give us a wee intro of how you first started getting into football, stuff like that.
Basically, young boy, playing the street with my friends in the street and joining local boys clubs in Londonderry. My dad played a bit of Irish League. We live in Mary, so I sort of followed my dad everywhere all around the country, and just playing the street, joining a local boys club, and took it from there.
So you were in your local boys club. You obviously must have been quite good at football. And when did the first kind of stage of getting properly into proper football kind of happen for you?
I'm mainly playing for a team called Oxford, which was a local team in Derry or Londonderry, and I got into county teams, which was quite a big thing. Wee bit more professional, and I wouldn't say I was the most talented footballer in the world, but I worked hard. I worked really hard, and no hiding behind. There's boys who are a lot better than me, but I was a dedicated lad, and I wanted to do better, and I wanted to be the best, and I sort of progressed from there, from county teams on up to bigger clubs, and which eventually got me into the schoolboys team.
So into the schoolboys team, and then you got trials across the water with various teams?
Yeah, I was playing for St Andrews in Belfast. Thankfully I got in the Northern Ireland schoolboys team, which was a big thing because my school didn't play football. And yeah, loads of trials. Every other week I seemed to be going away. Leeds, Sheffield United, Oldham, Preston, teams they got there, and Preston was the one that stood out for me. It's the one I felt most wanted at. I felt like I was in Northern Ireland. There was a lot of Northern Ireland lads, and North West England was a good spot to be, and I really felt wanted, and I felt they made a big effort to sign me. So they weren't the biggest club I went to, probably the smallest club, but I felt I could progress quicker there, and I could potentially play first team football quicker there. So that's why I went there, and it worked out great, to be honest with you.
So as a young fella at what, 16, 17?
Yeah, 15, 16 then I went away. Yeah, I left home, which is a big thing, obviously. I remember the day I left, and all I wanted to be was a footballer. I didn't have any aspirations to be anything else. I left early. I wasn't in school very often because I was away in England quite a lot, and it worked out okay.
So you head over to England as a 16-year-old boy. Did you have in your head that I'm going to make this no matter what, or were you going to go over and kind of dip your toe in and see what you thought? What was kind of your mindset?
No, I remember the trial game where we were playing Liverpool, and I done okay. I done quite well that day, and I knew I had half a chance. I knew that there's guys here in my squad, in my Northern Ireland squad, that were doing well. I knew if I was dedicated and I put the effort in, that I would have a chance of being a professional footballer, which was what I wanted to be. 16, yeah, I was like a jockey's whip. I was small. What I had was pace, and I was direct and scored a few goals. So listen, I progressed rapidly. Mainly due to the coaching, and mainly due to the application of me and the staff that were around me, and I progressed really quickly, and I got my professional day really early.
And was there major differences between the football at the time over here and when you arrived over in England? Was it the kind of the full-time thing, or what was the differences?
It was going into a man's world. I was a young boy. You had your jobs to do as a YTS, but you were training every day. You were in the gym every day. You're playing youth team, reserve team. Sometimes you're training with the first team at 16, 17 years of age, and just experiencing being a professional footballer. The lads, most of the lads went home. The guys from England, Wales, Scotland all went home at weekends. Me and another guy called Paul Morgan, who's from Ballyduff, who's a couple of years older than me. He took me under the wing. He's my best mate. We were going to away games all around the country, and it was brilliant. You're going to basically putting the kid out, but it was great to be part of a first team squad, going around all around the country, going to all the away games, and being a big part of it.
So if you could just give us a wee kind of brief overview of your time at Preston, just how it went and the highlights.
Yeah, 16 went over 16. Manager was Gary Peters. David Moyes was assistant manager. David Moyes was reserve team manager as well. And he had a soft spot for boys from Northern Ireland because his mother's from Korean. And I progressed really quickly and I got my professional deal early. So when I turned 17, I got made a professional, straight into the first team squad. Made my debut at 17. Missed a penalty in my debut at Hartlepool in a cup game, which I'll never regret. Played a few games, got another 2 new Ds after that, but time was 21, 22, and I knew I wasn't, the club had progressed so much and David Moyes took over and the club progressed from a League 2 team to the playoff final and they get in the Premier League and they got beat by Bolton, and that's when I just got released. So I knew I wasn't at that level. I was realistic, I wasn't good enough, but I had a hell of a 5 years and I loved every minute of it.
So your time at Preston comes to an end, your time just ran out there?
Yeah, my contract was up. He pulls me in a couple of days before the playoff final to get in the Premier League and tells me I'm getting released. I was absolutely devastated. I was heartbroken. I didn't know what to do. And then your phone goes dead for a few days. You obviously have people ringing or whatever, but then your phone goes dead for a few days. Then you get a few offers here and there. I'd done the rounds. I was South End, I was at Oldham. I had been alone in Scotland and they wanted me back up there. And I was sitting in South End, I had to come to a decision what I wanted to do. Did I want to sit down? The only real deal I got offered was, long-term deal was a conference team. And it was either do that or come home. And I think I made the right decision and come home to Linfield. So that's how I ended up back home.
And did you come home with the club in mind, or did you come home to see what the offers were?
No, it was, I would say it was basically a trial. I signed the deal straight away, but it was like just to see how I would get on. I was either sitting at B&B in Southend or come home to your parents and reevaluate what you want to do and give it a rattle. And it was a big reality check from being a professional footballer to working in my dad's mate's shop and travelling up and down from Londonderry 3 nights a week. They train me in Linfield. Big reality check, but listen, that's probably the best thing I've ever done.
And your time at Linfield was a successful time?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Won everything. Worked under one of the best managers that the league's ever seen. Learned a hell of a lot. Real good times, winning leagues, Santander Cups, and so on, and playing most weeks, which was the most important thing. And real enjoyable time. And there was no better place to play in the country at that time. So
obviously a very successful spell at Linfield. You must have played with some fantastic players with your time at Linfield as well.
Yeah, every one of them, every single player. You don't play for Linfield unless you're at the highest calibre, even to this day. And they were the best players in the league at that time. And I think of the strike force we had 4 of the best strikers in the league, and they're all at Linfield. And we could only play really 2 of them because we played 4-4-2 most of the weeks. But as a left winger, it was great for me. Get the ball wide and cross the ball, and no doubt one of the centre forwards put it away. And they were the highest calibre players in the country, if not the whole island of Ireland. And they're still talked about to this day. And bar from having the best players with the best ability, what else do you think that team had? Togetherness. One unit. We fought together, we played together, we socialised together. That's including the wives, the girlfriends, the partners. We're like a big family, so we were. And that was the main thing that drove us through. There's times where we weren't playing well, but we would grind out results because of our togetherness, and we had each other's backs. And that's something that I try to install in my teams now, because it's massive, especially at this level. So your time at Linfield comes to an end then. What was the reason? It wasn't. I had another year left in my contract. But the coach, Tommy Wright, the year before, I think there's 54 games a season. I was involved in 52 of them, but I think 48 of them were 48 might be exaggeration, but a hell of a lot of them were sub appearances, and I'd won everything. And I could have sat there and took another year, but one of the coaches got the Ballymena job, Tommy Wright, and I went with Tommy to Ballymena. And I wanted to play football, and I was ahead of it. I could have sat there and been a lot more successful, but that's not me.
You want to be getting minutes as much as possible?
I wasn't a young kid anymore. I was a senior player, and I could have sat there and took my money or whatever, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go out and play every week. I wanted to enjoy my football, and I was working at that time. And if you're working hard and you're training hard, there's nothing worse than not playing on a Saturday. And I genuinely just wanted to play, and that's the reason why I left.
So you go to Ballymena, and then there's a few more moves then before your Irish League.
Yeah, I went to Glenavon. After that, for a couple of years, I was at the Welders. I was at Larne. I was just seeing out. I wasn't seeing out my time, but I was just playing football. That's all it was. It was some of my best times when I was older. My time at Larne was amazing. We didn't have anything. It's a total different club now than when it was when I was there. But my friendships I made at that football club was amazing. It was probably like the time I was at Linfield, where it was a family sort of orientated club. We had a lot of good lads there. Still socialise with them lads now. My assistant Scott, I play with him in the middle of the park. And I was just playing football, and I genuinely I was getting a lot older then, and I just wanted to play and enjoy my football every single Saturday, and that's what we've done.
So just in comparison, obviously the Irish League's changed a lot over the past 4 or 5 years. What personally do you think the comparisons and the differences would be when you played to the way things are going now?
I think it's a lot more professional now. I think a lot of players are a lot more dedicated. But I still think Irish League teams can develop a hell of a lot more. I think there's a lot of learning still to be done. I think a lot of clubs have progressed really quickly. But I genuinely, when I look at our clubs in League of Ireland or look at clubs in England, I think that there's still a lot of learning to be done. And I think that, yeah, the league's improved, the attendance has improved, the professionalism's improved, but there's still a hell of a lot to learn.
And do you think them 4 strikers at Linfield, I take it was Glenn Ferguson,
Peter Thompson, Davy Lorimer, Chris Morgan.
Do you think
they would Justin McBride in there as well? If you want.
Do you think they would score as many goals now as they did back then?
Without doubt.
Yeah.
Glenn Ferguson was phenomenal. Peter Thompson was just a goal machine. Same with Chris and Davy. They would excel in every team in this league now or then. I'm sure if Glenn Ferguson was fit, every club in the country would have won. So
your last Irish League club was Larne, and at what stage did the coaching and the management come into your head?
It's a regret I have. I should have done it when I was a lot younger. I should have done it when I was a young player, and David Moyes done it when he played when he was young. And when we had conversations about when we were a lot older anyway, it was he started a lot younger, and I should have done that. But it wasn't in my head. I was a happy-go-lucky young lad who was playing football in the Irish League, playing for the biggest club in the country. I had no real interest in coaching, but some of my friends became managers or coaches, and I got offered the opportunity of 1 or 2 things. But then when my mate got the Ballyclare job, I just thought it was too good to turn down. And like I say, I was at Larne at the time, and I really, really enjoyed it. I was an old man, but I think I got Player of the Year that year, and it was quite tough decision to make. But Davy Dorning got the job, who worked at Linfield and stuff, and he's my friend, and he asked me to come along, and I jumped at it. So
that was your first experience into the coaching side of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting in as a coach to Ballyclare. Is there anything in your career then that you were kind of like drawing experience from, or were you just kind of doing it off your own
at Ballyclare?
Yeah,
a hell of a lot. It was a rude awakening. I thought I could still play. I definitely couldn't. There's a hell of a lot going on. The thing I've learned doing my badges was you got to manage upwards as well as downwards. So you got to manage a board, and you got to manage the staff and everything above you, as well as managing below you, i.e. the players. And I didn't do that well. And Davey will probably tell you stories about that. I know it was a rude awakening because I learned really quickly because we didn't last too long. And I think that was a lot to do with my attitude regarding the people above me than rather what I was when I was a player.
And do you think anything previous in your career, your playing days, were you like drawn in any experiences from them? Like, was there managers that you worked under that you were thinking, oh, I might try a wee bit of that, or I like what he done, or I like what he done?
I still do it this day. Work ethic. David Moyes, the biggest work I've ever seen in my life. First and last to leave, usually myself. I probably put too much effort in sometimes. The wife would give off a bit, but generally there's a hell of a lot. David Jeffrey, best man manager I've ever worked under. Tommy Wright had loads of good things that I can rely on. I can still contact them today, this day. There's managers that I wouldn't have to do anything that they've done as well on the opposite side. I'll not name them, but that's experience, that's learning. I'm always learning. I'm still learning myself. I learn every day. And I gotta use them because I want to be the best I can be.
So you said you didn't last very long at Ballyclare. After that ended, because it didn't really go so well, were you kind of thinking maybe this isn't for me, or were you looking for another new challenge?
No, what happened was I knew I wanted to do my badges. Started my badges at level 1 right at the very start, and I could have fast tracked because it was a youth international or whatever. Didn't want to do it. I want to start from scratch, and I remember doing my level 1 at Lurgan Town with Lurgan Town manager Lee, you know, and I really enjoyed it. And me and the wife moved to Banbridge, and she's not from Banbridge, I'm not from Banbridge. It was a total new thing, and I knew a couple of players, and then we went to Banbridge, and they made me feel really welcome, and I ended up signing for him to play. Within a month I was assistant manager. Within 3 months I was manager. 6 months maybe, I was manager, and I loved it. I absolutely love that place. People, the players, the board. I'm still involved as much as I can with that club. It's amazing, and I really want them to do well.
So you get in at Banbridge then, and your time at Ballyclare, was that kind of like a real eye-opener or learning curve for you in terms of maybe what not to do at Banbridge, or?
Yeah. I was over passionate at Ballyclare because I really wanted David to do well, and I would have done anything for him to do well because he's a brilliant fella. But I was over passionate, and I still have that to this day. I have a hell of a passion, but sometimes I go over the top, and I know I've got to learn to try and control that. The people probably at Banbridge probably say I still had the passion and the fight and desire and the drive to do well, and I want to be a winner. I want to be known as a winner. I want to succeed and do the best I can, and I tried. I'm still trying to this day, but I find it hard to try and curtail, as I say, the passion sometimes.
So you get Banbridge Town manager's job after a few months.
Mm-hmm.
As a manager then, what kind of way were you setting up your teams? What way did you like to play? Because nowadays there's so much about pressing and playing out from the back and all this wonderful stuff.
I think at that level, I think you have to be the hardest working team. I think if you want to succeed, you have to be hard working. You have to be well drilled in your formation, and everyone knows exactly what they have to do and what their jobs and roles and responsibilities are. And if you make that clear and you're hard working, I think you've got a chance of winning every game. I think that's the way every level of football. I think, yes, there's better players or whatever, but especially at level of, I was at Banbridge, I think hard work gets you a hell of a long way. And I think the harder you work, the more things fall for you. And that's I take that with me everywhere and everything I do in my life. And that's what we've done. And we had a real togetherness. And the group of lads I had at that club at that time were amazing. And they fought like mad for each other, and they had the same driving passion as I had. I think some of them, when I went in the club, didn't have that, and they didn't last too long. But the boys that stayed had the same driving passion and wanted the club to do well. And there were a lot of local lads, which was a big help, especially at that level. And they were all from the town, and they all cared, and we done okay.
So your first manager's job, how did you go about kind of like assembling your coaches and stuff, because you're only kind of new to the whole thing?
Generally, it was the staff that were there. The old manager's brother, Neil, he was the assistant then. And then he helped me out. And the physio coach, all the staff that were there stayed with me. I trust them. I genuinely, and that's a massive thing with me. If I can trust you, and they were really helpful. They're a lot more experienced than what I was, and they helped me a lot with everything, even the runs of the club. And genuinely, I'm really grateful for their help.
So you had a very successful time at Banbridge Town then?
Yeah, well, we finished second and third in the league. We won a trophy which the club hadn't won in 15 years in the Bob Radcliffe, which was amazing. Boxing Day game, the whole town was out. Yeah, and we were successful. Yeah, we went from a team that were struggling to a team that were fighting the top end of the table, and basically won a trophy, which was amazing for the whole town. And I had good players. I had good lads from the town, and the best players in the town played for the team. And yeah, we were successful. Yeah, but I think that's a lot down to the players, and not just down to myself.
And what do you think turned that team around from being a team at the foot of the table to being challenging up round the top and winning silver?
Listen, the old manager Ryan was brilliant. His job he done, because the year before I joined, there was 5 teams getting relegated out of that league. I think 5 or 6 teams getting relegated out of that league because of restructuring the leagues. So Ryan to keep him in the league in the first place was amazing. I think I just gave them belief. I think I made them feel wanted. I made them believe that they were capable of getting results every week, and that's exactly what they done most weeks. And yeah, they weren't the most talented group of lads, but I tell you what they gave me was everything you want as a coach. All you want as a coach is your players to improve, and they give you everything every single Saturday, and that's what my boys done.
Is there anything you would change with your time at Banbridge Town?
I would love to have got them promoted. I think they deserved it. I think they've smashing a whole lot of people behind the scenes that were really knocking their pan in. They make a closer seed, and they still are to this day. And I try and help out a wee bit. But I would love to have got them promoted. And I genuinely hope I look out for the result. That's the first result I would look out for. If I'm being honest, every single week. And hopefully they can progress and be a club that I want them to be.
So your next move then was quite a big move for you.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come about?
I got offered plenty of jobs, but they didn't sit right. For one reason or another. Plenty of opportunities came my way because obviously we were doing okay at Banbridge, but I played at the highest level and I wanted to manage the highest level. And when this came about, I got asked would I apply for it, and I did. I met them twice, interviewed and met them twice. And listen, I'm going to say this one, and I think I've said it publicly before, but it took a hell of a lot of guts for this board to give me a young, inexperienced manager to give me a Premier League job. I think a lot of boards should look at it and look at the job we're doing, because the drive and the passion that we have, they do well and succeed. And I think a lot of clubs could look at young aspiring coaches and give them the opportunity, because this is what this club's done for me, and I plan not to let them down.
And was it a tough decision to leave Banbridge Town?
No, I'll be honest about that. Dominic, the chairman's one of my real good mates, but no, he knew when he hired me that I wanted to be at the highest level. I think I'm very fortunate. I'm one of 12 coaches that manage in the Premier League in this country, and I know I'm a very fortunate guy. And if any opportunity came up, because he knew of opportunities that I turned down at higher level, but I was never going to turn this one down.
So what do you think made the Carrick Rangers board give you the job?
I think they understand me. I think they realise how much work I would put into it. I think they've seen my drive, my passion in my interviews, and the times I spoke to them. I think I told them I knew I could improve them. I told them that I was doing reports during COVID, I was doing reports for all our Premier League teams. So I knew all about them. And I knew how they could improve or I could improve them. And I think they understand how hard I'd work to try and make us succeed. And listen, I'm no finished article at all, but I generally knock my pan in 24/7 for this place. That hasn't been easy, but I think they've seen the passion and the drive and how much I was willing to put in to make us succeed. And thankfully they gave it to me.
So you leave Banbridge Town, who were Championship 2 at the time, to make a step up to the Premiership. Like meeting the players for the first time, getting a feel for the place for the first time, what was kind of, were you nervous? Were you excited?
No, not nervous at all. Really excited. Really, really wanted it. I knew, listen, as I know everybody in the Irish League, I worked in the Irish League, I was working for some big clubs and doing the reports for them. I knew all the players in the league, I played with most of them. And I made phone calls to 2 or 3 of them before I accepted it. And I just wanted to get started. And the chasing players and stuff like that at the start, it was really exciting. And meeting players and meeting your staff and going about meeting the team and picking your staff and picking the right people to be with you and knowing who you want to keep and who you want to let go, because there was a hell of a turnover of staff and players. It was exciting, and that's what I wanted. And the thought of me going back to Windsor or Cliftonville or Glentoran or Lorne or whatever as a young manager was really exciting for me, and it's something I worked really hard to get to, and hopefully can continue for a long time.
So did you have to did you feel you had to justify yourself to the players?
I think I do. I think I do. I think I still have to do that. I think there's still a lot of questions that people would ask about me and doubt me, even though I've been in the job now 18 months. Yeah, because you can be enthusiastic and you can be passionate, but if you deliver the wrong messages, people say footballers are stupid. They're not, and they can see a bluffer, and I can see bluffers too, by the way. But you'll soon be found out. And so yes, you can be passionate and you can have a drive, and everybody can have that if they really want it. But you have to know your stuff too. And I think generally we've improved, and generally we've got. I think my start when I first came in, getting my first win after my second game was a big monkey off the back, and we started really well last year, which was massive because it gets everybody on board straight away.
So in through the door from Championship 2 to Premiership, what was the kind of first few weeks like? What were the first couple of things you tried to do?
Loved it. Listen, I love. I may be the best manager in the world, but I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but I genuinely think I'm a decent coach, and I love my coaching, and I love being on the training pitch with my players. And they have 6 weeks, 7 weeks pre-season at a Premier League team. It was really exciting, and I loved coming to training every night, and I still do this day, but at the start it was really exciting, trying to get better players to come to the football club, trying to improve the ones that were there, trying to get the best out of everybody, and they all buyed into everything that we've done. Me and Scott, that's my assistant, and Greg, the goalkeeping coach, and James and everybody else who's involved, they really buyed into everything that we've done, and it was amazing. And you can still probably see it in my face now. It was exciting, and I still get excited coming down. Like, there's times where I'm drained and I'm knackered and I'm shattered, and anybody that coaches gets my full respect. I'm one of the lucky ones because I'm managed at the highest level, but I tell you, it's hard. It's not easy, but I still get excited to come to training. I still like the banter with my lads. I still like them. They feel important, and I love it when they do things and they get results because they work so hard for me.
So one of the first things you done was you signed a couple of experienced players.
Yeah, I had decisions to make. I knew the squad, in my opinion. Other people may have other opinions, but in my opinion, wasn't good enough, and there's too many players. So I made the conscious decision of letting a hell of a lot of players go. But I knew how to bring in better quality, and I brought in experienced lads and Jim Irvin and David Cushie, were 2 massive signings at the time. And for me to get them to come to Carrick was amazing, and it set the tone. And thankfully, the majority of the signings, in fact, I'd say all my signings at this football club have been good, and they've done well. I think when I was able to entice Jim and Cush to come to this football club, it set the tone for my signings, and they added so much, not even just out in the playing pitch, but added so much to the young boys in the club and their experience and their. I played with both of them, at Linfield and at Ballymena, and I think that's how I was able to get them to come to the football club.
And just going back there on the releasing the players, What's that process like? Is it a difficult process? Did you find it challenging? Was it hard?
Yeah,
to do?
it's not nice. It's probably one of the hard bits of being a manager. But it wasn't that bad because I hadn't worked with the lads. I wasn't their manager. I just made decisions that I thought at the time were best for football club, and I knew I had to, in my eyes, get a better squad available. And that's what I've done. And listen, there's some of them lads have left me and went and done well for themselves. Fair play, hands up, love that. But at the time, I thought it was the right decision for football club, and you have to go with your gut as a manager. Your own eyes don't deceive you, and I think you have to make calls, and hopefully or thankfully they've worked.
And were you given like objectives from the board? Were you given targets from the board? Or I suppose you obviously had your own.
Yeah, I think my own personal view is that I have to try to do better, try to improve. And listen, it might be results sometimes, but you have to try to improve everything from top to bottom. There's things I've got to learn a lot, but there's targets set. Thankfully, we met them, and now I want to progress it as much as I can. Now I think we're becoming a more competitive. I think this season we've been a lot more competitive, and we're improving slowly. But as long as there's a gradual increase in performance and levels at the football club, and being able to attract better players and everything about the club and going the right way, then that's me doing my job, in my opinion. Other people may say different, but I'm just here to try my best and make the place a better place than before I came in.
So your first season in the Premiership, what was it like coming up against the best of the best in the country week in, week out?
Exciting. I'm a young coach. I've went and done all my badges because I wanted to test myself against the best in the country, and they are the best in the country. For me to lead my team out against Linfield, who were league champions or whatever, or any other top clubs, it was class. I wanted to test myself against David Jeffrey. I wanted to test myself against David Healy, Stephen Baxter, and so on and so on. And there's plenty of people in this world knock you. There's plenty of people who'll knock you as a coach. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody thinks can do it better. But it's what I wanted, and it's still what I want this day. I want to be the best, and I'm not going to hide behind that. I want to keep learning. I want to be successful. I want to win things. I've done it as a player, and I want to do it as a manager. And I think if you don't have that passion to be at the top or try to improve and be better, then you're not going to be with me, because that's the way I am.
So you said there about testing yourself against the likes of David Healy, Linfield, Crusaders. Obviously Carrick being, and I mean this in a respectful way, like a smaller club. Would you set your team up? How would you set your team up if you're going to Windsor Park, for talk's sake?
I've learnt. I've went a few times and been turned over very easily, where we've been expansive, and there's times where we've been really tight and we've lost narrow defeats or whatever. But there's times where we've been here, and listen, you have to accept that. Yeah, we may be a smaller club, but it's 11v11 on a Saturday. It's man against man, and no matter what, if you put work rate and effort and commitment out in the pitch, I have quality players. I have players that can win games against anybody. And the thing about the bigger clubs is that they may have a wee bit more. But on our day, we know we're as good as anybody. And if we set ourselves up right, and we prepare right, and our attitude's right, and we have to tick a lot of boxes to get results against them big clubs. And they only need one or two things. We need probably 10 things to go our way. But listen, we've been competitive this year, which is great. And we've had some results this year that the club's never had or haven't had for 40 years or something. So listen, it's massive, and it keeps the fans happy, which is brilliant.
So at the end of your first season in the Premier League with Carrick, how did you look back on that?
People may surprise us, but I thought it was successful. I had a hell of a lot of doubters, and I love it, because I remember the day I got the job, and I remember the press the week after saying that we were going to get relegated, and I had that and I pinned that on the board. And thankfully the day we stayed up, we were at Ballymena and the reporter was there, and it was the first person I went to see, and it was successful. We improved the year before. They didn't. The club was in a playoff place, and so we improved and we stayed up, and it was a great credit to my coaching staff, my players, because it was hard work. We started really well. We had a real dip in the middle of the season where we had a lot of players missing, and it was a hard time, and my family probably took the brunt of it, but in the end it was worth it. We done what we came in to do, and all credit to the board and the staff, because everybody's got opinions, but we done what we were told to do. We improved the place, and we were safe, and then we were able to kick on this year.
And going into season 2, which we're about halfway through now, did the expectations increase? Did the targets change, or were you happy just to, I don't mean repeat last year, but were you happy just to kind of go along with it, or were you looking to lift the club
I always want to progress. Always want to progress. I think the board are the same. I think the staff are definitely the same, and my players are. I'm not happy to sit about and just be competitive. I want to improve. I want to learn. I want to keep learning. I've had some amazing experiences in my coaching and my management, and I want to keep that happening. I want to every week there's something different happening that I'm learning from, and yeah, I want to progress. I want to get better. I want the club to do better and raise the whole profile of the place, and I think that's what we're doing.
So there's a lot made nowadays of the 3 or 4 full-time teams, and how they're kind of pulling away from maybe the bottom half or the bottom 6 or 7. What would your opinion be on trying to close that gap as a part-time team?
We have to learn. We have to find ways of doing it.
Or how do you put an extra night on?
You have to. I'll give you an example of it, and I hope the opposing club don't take offence to it. But I had a free week prior to our Larne game. Now we know how there are derby rivals or whatever, and they're a big club and they're full-time professionals or whatever. I was able to train an extra couple of nights because of a free week, and it was amazing. Able to game plan set up 2 weeks prior to the game instead of on a Tuesday night prior to the Saturday, and we were able to work, and we were work flat out on the training pitch on what we wanted and what we needed to do to get a result, and we went there with very little, i.e. players wise, and it worked, and we got a result away from home, which was massive because they were top of the league at the time, and it just gives me the impression that if I have more time in the training ground with my players, the more beneficial it will be to my team on Saturday. I genuinely believe that. I would love to have my players in every day, but I've got, like I say, I have a full-time job. I'm not one of the fortunate ones that isn't full-time. I've got a young family. I travel a hell of a lot of distance to come here every night, and it takes a hell of a lot out of me and my family, but I would love to be full-time at Carrick or elsewhere, but that's how I think we can bridge that gap. I think the more hours I get in the training ground with my players, the better they become, the more I can improve them, and the more the team improves because of that.
So you are 2 nights a week at the minute, are you?
Sometimes 3. But it's hard. My lads work. Some of them are on the building site, some are teachers, some are government jobs, some are all wide ranging jobs, you know what I mean? So the exact same as me and my staff. So it's hard to get them in, to be honest with you. 2 nights, try 3 nights some weeks, and lead up the games. And because the Irish Leaguers will have a lot of midweek games and stuff, so like we just have to plan our best and sort of take it in 2 or 3 weekly groups where we're planning our nights in. But I genuinely believe that the more time I get them, pre-season's the best example of it. You're in 3-4 days a week, Saturdays, and then you hit the ground running start of the season, and the more hours I get them, the more I can improve them.
Yeah, you're halfway through your second season now at Carrick. How do you think your second season is going so far?
It's improving. It's an improvement in the last year. I think we've targets that were set, and so far so good. We want to try last year we finished 10th. and we want to improve on that. And we want to try and bridge the gap to the bigger clubs above us, which is Glenavon and Ballymena, and we're not far off that at all. In fact, we had a big Glenavon last week, we would have went above them, but yeah, we're gradually improving. I think it's been a successful improvement. I think we've brought better players again to the club this year, and the more better players I can bring, the better the team will be. And all credit to the board that backed me, and we just have to keep on trying to drive the standards of this place through the roof.
So you said earlier you're you're very, you're hands-on in the coaching side of it. You do quite a lot of the sessions yourself. What kind of coaching style would you be? What kind of manager style would you have?
Manager style, I think I think the lads trust me. I think I'm the most honest guy they'll ever meet. Coaching side, I'm very passionate. I drive standards. I like people who set standards in training, and I buzz off them. And we've a hell of a lot of them at this club. A lot of senior pros who've been there and done it, and I expect the best. I expect them they play at a high tempo. I expect them to train at a high tempo. I expect them to train the way they should play. And it's all about standards. And I genuinely believe that I don't think my players let anybody away with it now. I'm not sure if that was the case previously, but I genuinely believe that my senior players wouldn't let the young lads or any senior player away with not putting it in training. And if they do that, what I know now as a manager at the minute at Carrick, I'm getting the most out of every single player. And I think that comes from the training ground, because that's the standards that I expect, and they're all buying into it.
And that's where you're getting your success on the pitch.
I believe that, yeah.
Work.
I do. I believe people can be the best footballers in the world, but if they're not prepared to work hard, they're not going to get anywhere. And I might have alluded to it earlier, I genuinely believe that I am where I am now because of the hard work I put in and the effort I put in. And the weekends away and the times away from family and things, I think genuinely the hard work and the effort that I put in has got me where I am now. And I genuinely believe that I have to keep that level high to get where I want to get to.
Would your team have a particular way of playing? Would your team have without giving too much away? Maybe,
no, it changes. It changes to. I change my formation.
Would you vary it from week to week, depending on the opposition?
Yeah, I would do.
Some managers have one particular way. We play.
I've tried that.
Whatever.
I've tried that, and it hasn't worked. So yeah, we would change we would set up. We have a game plan. Staff would talk. We have a game plan. We go into the next game with a game plan on how we're going to try and succeed. What I say is I'm loyal. I think if players play well and they have a manager who believes in them, I think that they deserve to keep their top, and that's the way I work. And I think that's how you get the best of the people. I think I play with managers when I've played well and they've dropped me the week after and I didn't like it. But I genuinely believe if you play well, I think you deserve to keep your top, and that's the way I work here. But formation wise and things and game plans and stuff, it changes with ourselves. I'm not fortunate enough to have 25 senior players or 25 professional players. I have a small squad, and I have to find a way of getting the best out of them every week. And I think that's, if I show loyalty and honesty, I demand that off my players. I demand respect of them, and I think they buy into it.
So you have a small squad. Obviously, you've got a small budget on squad. Does that allow room for young players coming up? Definitely,
and I tell them every week, especially young boys. David Moyes gave me an opportunity at 17. He showed faith in me to play English football. So why would I not have faith in a 19-year-old lad playing for Carrick? I think Ronan Call's been outstanding. I think he's stepped up. And Curtis Forsyth is a young lad who's playing every week in the Premier League. I'm not scared to play kids. I've done it, and I don't mind doing it, and I'll do it again. People show faith in me. And listen, if they're doing it in the training ground, and they're doing it in reserve matches, and they're doing it in friendlies or whatever, then they deserve the opportunity, then I'll throw them in, no bother.
Then it's up to them.
Yeah, it's up to them, and then, like I say, if they play well, they keep their top. That's the way I work. And I think that we've seen that. Yes, I bring on senior players because I think they drive standards, but they also know that I'm quite willing to play the kids too when I have to, and it's a great place to be if you're a young boy, and you'll get more opportunities with me, I think, you get out of most other managers.
So what's the objectives for the back end of the season?
To keep progressing. I've got a wee term at the minute that we're on the hunt because we're chasing down teams, and I want us to chase down teams. And as long as we keep on improving, and the fans are happy because they know that my players are giving me everything, then that's my job done. As a coach, you can set your team the best up you can, but I think as a coach, you get a lot of pride out of players giving you everything, and I can gently hand on heart say that, and my lads have done that, and we just have to keep our heads level and keep working hard and try and beat certain things that have been set by this club, and hopefully we can do that at the end of the season.
And maybe looking beyond this season, maybe what's the long term
for myself or for the club?
The long term goals for the club, firstly.
To compete with the top six, to compete with the biggest clubs. I think we know we're hammered out, we know we're a small club, but I tell you what, there's a hell of a lot of people in this club who live and die for this club, give everything. A lot of volunteers who get so much respect from me. There's a lot of board members who help out as much as they can. And I'm the figurehead, and I represent them, and I want them to be happy and proud. And I think we just have to keep on trying to drive this club forward and keep on trying to improve it. And I want them to be going home on a Saturday night happy.
And I know you're obviously very happy where you're at and you're doing a great job, but what's your personal ambitions?
I've got a really good job outside of this. I've got a young family, but I have aspirations to be full-time. I went and done my pro licence. I want to be a full-time manager. I want a career-breaking work. Once in work, I laugh at when they hear this, but I genuinely want to strive to be the best. I want to be the best coach, young manager about, and I want to be full-time. So I've got a lot of work to learn. I've got a hell of a lot of things to learn, a hell of a lot of things to improve on, but that's where I want to get to.
Yeah, you say earlier there you're always looking to improve, you're always learning, and so do us coaches all the time. Is there like any particular manager you look up to? Is there any way you would maybe like listen to like other podcasts or interviews? Or
never stop. I'm flat out in the podcast. I'm flat out on speaking to other managers. I've met a hell of a lot of people who I look up to in my badges. Even I'm not even being funny. Even amateur local coaches who I love bouncing things off. I love learning. I love going to clubs to watch things. I've friends who are at big clubs now. I have friends who are managing at smaller levels, and I'll listen to anybody. If I can get 1% out of any of them, I'll take it on board. I genuinely love it, and I talk about my podcast, and I talk about listening to managers and visiting clubs and stuff, and I've had some amazing trips and amazing things that I've done, and I've been very thankful and grateful for it. And some of the things I've done with pro license I'll never do again. I love learning. I love it. I love bouncing things off people. I love asking opinions. I love when people ask me things about my club and it doesn't matter if you're at Chelsea or you're at AX or whatever, or you're at Banbridge Town. We're all still coaches. We're all still learning. I could name 100 if I'm being honest with you, but that's just me. There's people who mightn't take it all in, and you don't have to agree with what people say. There's a hell of a lot of people probably don't agree with what I do or the things that I do, but I have a real passion to learn off all our managers and all our coaches, and like I say, we've worked under some, I believe, really good ones and some really poor ones, and everybody's got different opinions on different things, and that's why football's so good.
Brilliant. Well, that is the end of our podcast, and we want to wish yourself, Stuart, and Carrick all the best for the future.
Cheers, thank you.